The neighborhood looked like something pulled straight from a postcard. Quiet streets, trimmed lawns, warm porch lights glowing in the early evening. It was the kind of place where people waved without thinking, where children rode their bikes until sunset, and where nothing bad was supposed to happen. At the center of it all lived the Carter family. To anyone watching from the outside, they were perfect. Daniel Carter was calm, respected, and methodical, the kind of man who fixed things before they broke. His wife, Elise, carried a softer presence, always smiling, always present at school events, her voice gentle but measured. And then there was Amari, 8 years old, bright-eyed, endlessly curious. She was the kind of child who noticed everything, who asked questions most adults didn't want to answer. The family fit together like a finished puzzle. Nothing seemed out of place. Until one evening, something did. It started small. So small, in fact, that no one thought it mattered at first. Elise reported Amari missing just after dusk. Her voice shook as she explained that her daughter had been playing in the backyard, that she stepped inside for only a few minutes, and when she returned, Amari was gone. Within hours, the entire neighborhood was alive with flashing lights. Police canvassed the area. Volunteers formed search parties. The woods behind the Carter home were combed inch by inch. Time became the enemy. The first 48 hours were critical, and everyone knew it. Flyers were printed. Social media lit up. News crews arrived. The story spread quickly. Young girl vanishes from safe neighborhood. But even in those early hours, something about the case didn't sit right with the investigators. It wasn't anything obvious, no forced entry, no signs of struggle, no witnesses. It was something quieter, subtle, a detail so small it almost slipped past unnoticed. Elise's timeline shifted slightly each time she told it. Daniel, on the other hand, was almost too composed. He answered questions carefully, precisely as though rehearsed. And then there was the house itself. It was clean. Not just tidy, immaculate, almost staged, like a photograph meant to be admired, not lived in. As the search intensified, investigators began to look closer, not at the woods, not at strangers, but at the people who knew Amari best. Because sometimes the truth doesn't lie in what's missing, sometimes it hides in what's been carefully arranged to look normal. The second day, the search had grown into something massive. Drones scanned the tree lines. Dogs tracked scent trails that led nowhere. Volunteers called Amari's name into the cold air until their voices cracked. But inside the Carter home, something felt still. Too still. Detectives returned for a second walkthrough, this time slower, more deliberate. That's when they noticed it. The detail. A single pair of shoes by the door. Small, pink, slightly worn at the edges. Elise had said Amari was wearing them when she disappeared, but there they were, untouched, exactly where they would have been if she had taken them off herself. It was a contradiction no one could ignore. When confronted, Elise hesitated, just for a moment, but it was enough to shift the entire direction of the investigation. The questions became sharper, more direct. Daniel's calm demeanor began to crack, just slightly. Not enough for the cameras, not enough for the public, but enough for those trained to see it. The timeline unraveled piece by piece. Security footage from nearby homes showed no one entering or leaving, no vehicles, no strangers. The window of opportunity for an abduction simply didn't exist, which left only one possibility, one that no one wanted to say out loud. As pressure mounted, the Carter home transformed from a place of comfort into a place of scrutiny. Every room was examined, every object reconsidered. Investigators noticed how certain areas of the house felt untouched, while others seemed overly cleaned. It was in the basement where things shifted completely. At first glance, it was ordinary. Storage boxes, old furniture, a faint smell of damp concrete. But beneath that smell was something else, something recently disturbed, the kind of detail that doesn't scream for attention but waits patiently to be discovered. Forensic teams were called in, and suddenly the search outside stopped, because the focus had moved inside. The truth, it seemed, had never left the house. When the story finally broke, it shattered the illusion completely. The perfect family wasn't perfect at all.
Behind the carefully maintained image was something far darker: control, tension, and secrets buried so deep they had begun to surface in the smallest ways. The investigation revealed that Amari hadn't vanished that evening. She had been gone long before the report was ever made. The 48-hour search, the desperate pleas, the public grief, it had all been a performance, a delay, time bought in hopes that the truth would remain hidden. But it was that one overlooked detail, the shoes by the door, that changed everything. It forced investigators to question the narrative, to look closer, to see beyond the surface. And once they did, the entire story collapsed. In the end, it wasn't a stranger. It wasn't a random act. It was something far more unsettling: the realization that the people closest to Amari knew exactly where she had been all along. The case became a chilling reminder that appearances can deceive, that perfection can be manufactured, and that sometimes the most dangerous secrets are the ones hidden in plain sight. For the community, it was a loss of innocence. For the audience watching from afar, it was something else entirely, a question that lingered long after the story ended. How well do you really know the people you trust the most? Because in this case, everything seemed perfect, until one detail proved it never was.